Okay, everyone, so today we are going on to week 7, and in the syllabus it says that we're going to go over introduction and conclusion into deliveries, but that's not what we're going to be doing this week. This week we're only going to be focusing on delivery because in the organization portion of last week, if you guys don't remember, we did cover the introduction extensively, and we also covered the conclusion extensively as well. So I kind of felt that a change in our syllabus would be better for you guys. Take it a little bit of easy, during midterms on everyone, and just primarily focus on delivery, right? Because I think we have a good grasp on introduction and conclusion so far. If you guys need me to recap, please go back to the other micro lectures and review them on organization. However, we can discuss that in class if you guys have any questions. In any case, we're going to begin with delivery for this week, right? So I'm going to share my screen for everyone so everyone gets a good look at what we're looking at. And let's begin. All right. So delivery, right? Oops, I did not notice that. I will have to change that. In any case, so in delivery, we're going to be learning a couple of things, right? So we always want to start off with our learning objectives. And so our learning objectives for this one is going to be, you're going to be able to explain the difference between a good and bad delivery. You'll be able to identify methods of delivery. You'll be able to implement aspects of the speaker of the speaker's delivery in your journals and your speeches. Sorry, that's a typo, guys. In any case, you'll be able to implement nonverbal communication to complement your speech, and that's a portion of delivery as well. You're going to be able to critically analyze methods of preparation for your delivery by using the method provided, and I'm going to give you guys that in a later video, okay? So let's go ahead and continue on. So our first one is going to be, what is a good delivery? So a good delivery is conveyed in your book as it conveys the speaker's ideas clearly, they're interesting, and it's without distraction to the audience, right? So you can deliver your speech topic and your speech in a good delivery by standing up there and giving, some gestures and all of that stuff, but you don't want to be flailing your arms, right? Because it's distracting, right? You don't want to be doing that. And also, like I said, regarding visual aids, if we can remember back to that, is that you can't actually just have a video or something playing constant in your background because it's going to distract from what you're actually saying, right? So it's distracting your audience from the actual thing that you're talking about. So the same thing that goes within my lectures for you guys is that I want you guys to be able to not only listen to the content as I have placed it here, right? But I also want you to be able to kind of look at me and see too that like this is how like we're actually going to be conversing and delivering a message to you guys. And for me, it's my lectures, but for you guys, it would be your speeches, delivering the message to you in the most critical and most analytical way possible. And what I mean by analytical, it means that like you're able to actually grab the message by me speaking to you directly and having a clear sense of what I'm actually trying to say. Okay, so that when we think about good delivery, we think about that. And bad delivery, and I did make a slide for bad delivery because I don't want you guys to really focus on that, but I want you guys to focus on bad delivery as everything that is contingent to this, right? So anything that is not this, contingent isn't a bad word, I'm sorry. Anything that is in contrast to this is going to be a bad delivery, right? So like I said with visual aids, having a video playing in the background and like the voice or like the audio is going over what you're actually saying, we can't hear you, and then therefore we're not paying attention to you, and so it's distracting us, right? Or if you're trying to convey an idea, but you just keep talking and talking and talking and talking, and at the very end, it's like, and so that's why it's bad. And we're like, what does that even mean? Like what are you trying to say? And there's a lot of professors out there that actually speak this way, so I'm pretty sure you guys have a decent grasp of what that really feels. And then also overall, if it's boring, like if we don't even have any type of interest inside of your like topic or what you're speaking on, like if you make it as dull as possible, that's going to be a bad delivery because again, we're not going to be interested in what you're saying, we're going to be distracted by other things, others might be paying attention to their phones, etc., right? So keep that in mind as we are, going throughout delivery from this video and from the next videos, that you want to keep what a good delivery is in, what it is in mind, and then also what a bad delivery might be. So just kind of think on that and reflect on that. All right, so nextly, we're going to go over some methods of delivery and some methods of delivery. So there are 4 different kinds of delivery methods. Sorry, I am tongue-tied today. In any case, there are 4 different types of delivery methods that you can do, right? And the first one is reading from a manuscript, and we're going to go over these in extreme detail, each one, so that you guys can understand. But right now we're just delivering like what it is to have a method of delivery within your speech. So reading from a manuscript, reciting from memory, speaking impromptu, and speaking extemporaneously, okay? And so first, let's go over reading from a manuscript, right? And this is defined in your book as a speech that is written out word for word and read to the audience. As you guys know, in your speeches, I highly recommend that you do not do this, right? This is where I will, like, it's called reading. It's just called, like, essentially you're just like reading off of a script, like it says here, and it's not genuine, right? It's not conversation worthy. It's just like, I like to walk dogs because dogs are cute and dogs are nice. That has nothing to do with like you giving an emotion, you conveying anything within your speech, right? It's just very robotic, and that doesn't give anything to your speech. It actually takes away from your speech. So as you guys know, I highly recommend that you do not do this. This is not something that I want for you guys to have in your speech. It is something that I deduct points for, so please keep that in mind, okay? All right, so next is reciting from memory. And so in reciting from memory, it's not actually defined in your book, but there are some particular aspects of this in your book as well. Reciting from memory is not something they actually do really anymore. However, we do these types of things during like special occasions, like toast for like someone's wedding, right? Like a bachelor would give like a toast to the groom or whatever that might be. It is a method of delivery. However, sometimes when we recite from memory, it goes back and it leads us into thinking that like, oh, like you're just reading off of a script, right? Like you're just reading everything word for word as you've like memorized it. And in acting, that might be something that you might have to do, but actors have like a tendency to like step in and out of character. Right now, giving speeches in oral communication, you're not stepping in and out of character. You're giving us a speech about something that you've written, has something that has a personal impact to you on yourself. So in reciting from memory, please keep in mind that this is okay to have, and in some way we're going to use this, but it's going to be different, much more different, and we're going to go over that later in this video as well, but or in the next videos, I mean. But keep in mind, like when we do reciting from memory, it takes away from the authenticity of the speech, and it's the authenticity of the speech that has the greatest amount of impact. Okay, so again, this is just another method that's displayed in your book, but I want you guys to keep this in mind that this is not necessarily something that we should be looking for in oral communication. All right. All right, so nextly is speaking impromptu, right? Or improv. And this is defined in your book as a speech delivered with little to no immediate preparation, right? So in speaking impromptu, I have done this many a time in a lot of my classes, but also it just depends basically on the knowledge that you have on that particular topic, right? Sometimes there are things that we can speak about that don't necessarily require a lot of practice. Like it doesn't necessarily require for us to actually like prepare because we are already knowledgeable within the subject. So like, if, for example, your narrative speeches, right? Like not a lot of you actually needed to prepare for that because it was an event that happened in your life and it was something that you were able to recall, right? So for you guys, like you would give details like within the speech, like, oh yeah, and then that happened, and then like I almost drowned and blah, 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 or like, you know, whatever. Like, but also speaking impromptu, depending on the topic and the situation, you would have no preparation on this at all based on your experience within the topic, or you're not experienced at all and you're just like talking straight out of your ass. So it could go either way. It's neither good nor bad, but it also has like positive and negative, like, I guess, consequences. It just all depends on how like you guys are actually going to use that. So, all right. And so lastly, let's cover speaking extemporaneously. And so this is defined in your book as a careful preparation and rehearsed speech that is presented from a brief set of notes. And this is a great example and great definition of a method of delivery that you'll be using for your informative and persuasive speeches, right? So in your informative and persuasive speeches, I will be allowing you guys to use your outlines as a form of cue, right? And we're going to go over cues and all of that stuff in later videos, but this is a great example of how you would be able to prepare and be well informed and rehearsed for your informative and persuasive speech. And those two speeches are the most highly weighted speeches in the class, but they're also the most researched speeches as well. You're going to have to do a bit of research to be able to be extremely knowledgeable within that topic and show how you're going to cite that topic as well. Okay, so that is all we have for this first video right here. But you guys should have already answered the questions I proposed for this micro lecture, and then next we're going to be moving on to, excuse me, let me see which one we're moving on. Next one, we're going to be moving on to talking about the speaker's tone, right? And so what that actually means and how that has an impact on someone's speech, okay? So I'm going to see you guys in the next video. See ya.